Types of wireless networking technologies. First, Wi-Fi. Its full form is wireless fidelity. Description: Wi-Fi is a wireless networking technology that uses radio waves to provide high-speed internet and network connections. So, Wi-Fi is a wireless network technology and it uses radio waves to provide high-speed internet and network connection. What is it? A standard based on IEEE 802.11 standards. And there are different standards for 802.11 also. 802.11 A, B, C, A, B, G, N, AC, and AX. Frequency bands typically operates in 2.4 GHz and 5 GHz bands, with newer standards also using the 6 GHz band. Actually, you see, in Wi-Fi there are two bands available. Whenever you take a new connection, they will give 2 GHz connections. 2.5 GHz is still is used in old systems, but for new system 5 GHz it is more faster. Range typically up to 100 meters indoors and 300 meters outdoors, depending on the environment and a specific standard. Bluetooth, you know, Bluetooth is a short range wireless technology standard used for exchanging data between fixed and mobile devices over short distance. So for short distance, we use Bluetooth for data transfer and some electronic devices to connect also, like Bluetooth mouse, we connect a headphone, other things. Standards governed by the Bluetooth Special Internet Group (SIG). Frequency band so operates in 2.4 GHz ISM band. Its range is 10 meters for class 2 devices, with some devices supporting up to 100 meter with class 1 devices. Next is cellular networks. So cellular network uses distributed cell sites to provide wireless communication over large geographical areas. So in our mobile phone we use cellular networks. No? It, there is a SIM through that we get the cellular network. So previously 2G was oldest, GSM CDMA. Then it came 3G, UMTS CDMA 2000, and then 4G. Now we are using 5G. Frequency bands utilizes multiple frequency bands depending on the generation and carrier. So for 2G there will be different frequencies, for 3G and 4G, 5G all have different frequencies. Range varies significantly based on cell tower replacement and technology, typically several kilometers. So by cellular networks you can call what very large distance. No? Zigbee description: Zigbee is a low power, low data rate wireless mesh networking standards used for IoT devices. So Zigbee is a low data rate wireless mesh technology networking standard. So for like in our local at home, if there is some connection, network connection, then Zigbee will be used. A standard based on IEEE 802.15.4 standard. Frequency bands operates primarily in 2.4 GHz band with some regional use of 868 MHz and 915 MHz band. So its frequency band will be very lesser. You are looking at 2.4 GHz is primarily it is used, and in some cases even 868 MHz is also used. Its range is 10 to 100 meter. Next is Z-Wave. Z-Wave is a wireless communication protocol used primarily for home automation. It's a standard governed by the Z-Wave Alliance. So this is some example of wireless networking technology connection also. Its frequency is 1 GHz frequency, and for example 908.42 MHz in US and 868.42 MHz in Europe. Its range is typically 30 meters, with networking extending the range. Actually, with mesh networking, its range will extend. Next is NFC, near field communication. So NFC is a set of communication protocols that enable two electronic devices to establish communication by bringing them with close proximity, usually 4 centimeter. You see now in your phone there is NFC connection available, so by that you can what cast your television also. You can cast your television with your phone by using NFC. near field communication. So its distance is within 4 centimeter. Standards governed by the NFC forum. Its frequency band side 3.56 megahertz. So it is very less than Wi-Fi. Typically up to 4 centimeter. WiMAX, worldwide interoperability for microwave access. So WiMAX is wireless communication standard designed to provide high-speed internet access over a wide area. So in wide area network for providing fast internet access, WiMAX is used. Based on 802.16. Its frequency band is 2.3 gigahertz, 2.5 gigahertz, 3.5 gigahertz, less than that Wi-Fi. Typically up to 50 kilometer is will be its range. Okay. Next is some security challenges associated with wireless networks. First is unauthorized access. What are under unauthorized access? Root access points. Unauthorized access points can be set up to lure users into connecting, potentially exposing their data. So in root access points, it will lure the users who are working for some departments to connect, lures users into connecting, potentially exposing their data. Actually, they don't want to expose the data, but they will use some greedy method like that. They will lure them to display their data, expose their data. So this is unauthorized access. Next is bar driving. Attackers drive around looking for unsecured wireless networks. Unsecured wireless networks to gain unauthorized access. So attackers are always in the search of some unsecured network. Wherever they will get unsecured wireless network, that means they will penetrate unauthorized. Interception of data. Next, what is under interception of data? Eavesdropping. Attackers can intercept data transmitted over wireless networks using packet sniffing tools, especially if the data is not encrypted. So in eavesdropping, what the attackers do? Sorry. 3, 2, 1. In eavesdropping, attackers can intercept data transmitted over wireless network using packet sniffing tools. So if data is not encrypted, then in that case, attacker can intercept the data. Man in the middle attack, MITM. Attackers intercept and alter communication between two parties without their knowledge. So the man in the middle, that means some sender and some receiver is there. So this attacker will come between them in middle, and it can change the data without their knowledge. Weak encryption, WEP, wide equivalent privacy, an older encryption standard that is easily cracked. So encryption should be always also a strong. If you do encryption, but is that very big, then there is no point of encryption. That can be easily cracked. Weak WPA, WPA2 configuration, poor implementation or use of weak passwords can make this encrypted protocol vulnerable. So if you use weak password, so see this weak WPA configuration is for password. Okay. So generally you should put a strong password. If there is password weak, then These what these encryption protocols will be vulnerable for attackers. Next is denial of service attacks. What is DOS? Jamming. Attackers can use radio frequency interfaces interference to disrupt wireless communication. So they will just put some garbage radio frequency between your original source of communication for jamming the path from which you will send the or jamming the network through which you will send the data or you will communicate. Deauthentication attacks. Attackers can send deauthentication frames to disconnect users from the network. So that means authentic means correct. So they will just send some random unauthentic or deauthentic frames to disconnect the user. Next is device vulnerabilities. Unpatched firmware. Routers and access points with outdated firmware may have vulnerabilities that can be exploited. So we should not use outdated devices in case of any software or data communication. It should always be updated with time because it will be vulnerable not to exploitation. Default setting: many wireless devices come with default setting, including default passwords that are easily exploited if not changed. So whenever we purchase some devices, now there is default password already written there. So we should change those default password for our security purpose. Network configuration issue: SSID broadcasting. Broadcasting the SSID can make it easier for attackers to find and target the network. So if you are broadcasting your SSID now, then in that case attackers can easily find out the network and target it. Open network: network without any security measures. So if there is no security, then that means it is vulnerable for what attackers. Physical security: physical access to network devices can lead to tampering or theft of data. So if you have access to physical devices of the network, then anyone can theft, do theft no, or tampering like that. Client side attacks: malware. You know, infected device can spread malware to other devices on the network. So if there is some device infected through malware, then if we connect that device through internet, then in that case through malware can pass through internet to other devices. Phishing: attackers can use fake Wi-Fi login page to steal user credentials. So what attackers here do? They will just show you some fake Wi-Fi login page, and whenever you enter the data, it will be access to the attackers. Next is session hijacking. Hijacking: attackers capture session cookies and hijack active sessions to gain unauthorized access. So when you search on browser, its cookie is maintained, and cookie is very important. So attackers can hijack those active sessions by using cookies. Misconfigured firewalls and access control lists. So firewall is used for security purpose. Now, so if this is misconfigured, then what will happen? Improper firewall setting. Weak or misconfigured firewalls can leave the network exposed. So firewall settings should also be managed properly, and its password like that it should be strong. Inadequate ACLs: poor configuration. ACL what is access control lists. So if access control list is poorly configured, then any unauthorized traffic can penetrate in that system. Now, so these were some security challenges associated with wireless networks. Okay, thank you.